SFJ 4x4 Studios presents
in my oversized four-wheel drive Jeep.
a Jeep podcast starring industry experts.
Pure monosity.
What? Say that again.
With mad scientist Scott Brown,
Use my drill press as a sort of blade.
our host Neil Simpson,
If one light goes out, they all go out.
filled with shenanigans.
We are really professional with Jeeps.
This is I Speak Jeep.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever, however you are joining us. This is the I Speak Jeep podcast, SEMA 2023 review edition. And we have a special in-house guest today that may or may not make their way on camera. We'll tell you about them in a second. Scott has made some big power moves in his life, and that will be coming up. And Jeffrey and our lead performance mechanic Gregory have some details to share from their SEMA trip where they solidly blame the Savage for all things that go wrong in life. So you're going to want to definitely stay tuned for all of that. And without further ado, my name is Neil with Simpson Family Jeeps, located in beautiful November, autumn, fall, Conneaut, Ohio. Gorgeous day here today. And I am just off the plane from sunny and 80s Las Vegas. So, gentlemen.
I'm Jeff Shamani, the producer.
The Italian Stallion.
And I'm Scott Brown, mad scientist, and JT owner.
JT owner. There it is.
Congratulations.
There it is. Yep, he went ahead and made some moves, sold Oscar the Jeep to one of our good customers. I always think it's funny how many of our customers, trust us in the process. They buy our vehicles as well, which I think is a testament to, to not my vehicle. Nobody gets out alive from my vehicles.
And then Darla and Daddy Jeep are saying good morning.
Good morning.
A shout out to Chip in our Discord from our Patreon fans. He actually commented, "Welcome to the Cool Kids Club" to Scott, because you have to be a JT owner to be in the Cool Kids Club.
Oh,
Neil,
yes.
looking at you.
Oh yeah, I know. You know what? And I just I love a JT. It's as if you followed anything of our media for a long time, it's the truck that I longingly wished for a really long time. And I recently was talking to some folks, a great club out of Erie, Pennsylvania. One of, among their leadership, their son has a Comanche.
A really nice Comanche.
Really nice MJ. And I've been kind of corresponding with him on Facebook because he recently was wheeling it and banged up the bed and the light and all that. And my thing is I love the Comanches. I had an opportunity to get a J truck years ago. I didn't love the cabin structure as much. I felt seated lower. I didn't have the same upright position that I would in like a square body of some sort. Mm-hmm. And so the Gladiators really just were this beautiful blend and mix. The challenge is I don't know that we as a business can go straight Gladiator, right? I mean,
Right.
Jeffrey had it. You've got one now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I desire a Gladiator,
We
but
can't have a whole fleet of them out there.
Why
I don't know that we can have a whole fleet of them. Like we have to stay true to that Wrangler.
The
life.
nice thing though is right now I've got a Sport. He's got a Rubicon. So now we've got two different trim levels that we can reference and utilize and learn from.
Yeah, and I've already started the 6 weeks love affair of learning everything I can about it.
I'm sure you have. I'm absolutely sure.
I'm pretty sure he's already more of an expert on it than I am at this point.
Guarantee. That's how Scott's brain works. Yeah. I'm not sure what my what our next move is. Well, I mean, I know that I want a 4xe. I want to acquire and add a 4xe to our fleet. And so what does that look like in the process? I haven't
Kristen
quite
said
figured
if they
out.
ever made a 4xe with 3 rows, she'd be buying it.
Well, I mean, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of those Jeeps that we saw at SEMA. And obviously, if you saw the post, the teaser yesterday, we're going to be talking about my number one favorite Jeep that I darn near guarantee that you didn't see any coverage of on any of the other primary social platforms.
I have a curious thing. I think I know which one it is, but we'll see.
Okay. I dig it. I think what's kind of funny is that the people who have responded that they're like, oh, I think I know what this is, are not the consumers of the normal mainstream social platforms, right? They're the folks who are kind of hiding in the corners, the web of the internets, or the Chrysler Mopar lifestyle, right? And I think that's a little bit of
they're a little more mad scientist.
A little more mad scientist, and I think that's a hint that you're going to want to. That's the hint you're going to want to, kind of pontificate upon later, or I will pontificate upon. So,
Joe's saying we'll see Linda's 4xe once they figure out what to do with the JK.
Yeah, Joe, we're waiting for your JK to come in too. I think you were planning to drop that off, so we'll be in touch. We can share that. As far as our friendly weekend updates. Obviously, we thank you, Mad Scientist Scott Brown, for keeping the doors open, the phones on, and our customers being able to drop off and pick up appropriately.
Yep.
We divided and conquered within reason last week. Scott, the ever homebody, made sure that our brick and mortar that we've worked so hard to support and create over the years stayed gamefully operational.
Yep. This turned on the oldies and made work.
And made work.
Yeah, he used my Amazon Music account to play
I thought
oldies.
it was so funny that your Amazon Music account was getting all the oldies, and it was very confusing.
It's going to be like a favored station now. I'm like, what? No, no.
You and your family were trying to use your Amazon Music account elsewhere, and we kept stealing it back,
Yeah, well, it was great because I text Kristen because she was asking me, why does the music keep getting stolen?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, Scott's probably using it at the shop. And she goes, never mind, let him use it. He probably needs it.
He does, right?
I was very lonely, and the classic music really helped.
I'm sure. So as far as our rundown last week, obviously you saw us on here or listened to us. We were in studio on Monday. The guys, most of our team flew out Monday night. They were able to do the show Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and flew out first thing Saturday morning. I am phenomenally grateful. It was interesting for me to recount my experience this weekend because when I showed up Thursday morning to have breakfast meeting with the guys and do our thing, I was met with a list of, hey, we've already talked to so-and-so, we've already addressed this, we've looked at these products, we're really going to be interested in this coming down the pipe, we're going to go check out this, hey, you really got to see this this particular build, you're going to want to film here, so I was able to just step in, and a lot of the kind of the creative logistics were reasonably addressed.
Yeah,
it was pretty exciting.
We were able to reasonably map out your trip there, and
made Thursday and Friday really efficient. I felt like I didn't spend a lot of time on site, but made Thursday and Friday really efficient.
And I think you got a lot of good media opportunity out of it. I think Davey's going to be coming out with some really good footage and videos coming up.
I think it's going to be a good high quality production. So we'll check that out. Also had an opportunity to touch base with another what I would call a up and coming media star. He is a blogger, has one of the most successful online publications on the auto industry right this minute. And so ideally, I don't want to disclose exactly who or what, but maybe there's some opportunity to collaborate in the near future. Had an opportunity to talk with him in the main hall. He's living in California now, but just a rooted in Jeep, enthusiasm, but absolutely one of the most successful online publications for all of the auto industry. So I'm really tickled to work with him.
And Scott, I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm going to make you guess. But at one point on a monorail throughout the week, I'm not going to tell you which day, who was there, who wasn't, we missed our stop on the monorail because somebody was talking to another YouTuber. Now you have to figure out who that somebody was.
Yeah, so it was an interesting meeting of the minds, if you will.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll get into that and kind of the the interesting aspects of the week and reviewing it. But obviously, you want to tell us about your JT? And
Sure. I didn't get much done on the 36 just with everything. I was either sleeping or working here or buying a Jeep.
right,
So I was able to basically right after I closed the shop on Saturday, jetted to our actually really preferred dealer of ours in Madison, and was the only salesman in my interaction that didn't try to kind of
bait and
bait
switch.
and switch.
Yeah,
there was one on the other up by Cleveland. It wasn't too bad, but part of me wanted to be a little closer just so in case I did need to work with them in the future. It really benefits that we're intimate with that parts department, have some good guys in there that we work with.
yes.
So in the future, I have some faith that if I
What
need
an
some service
interesting
work,
what an interesting turn of events, if you will,
Yeah.
because you cast a pretty wide net in your search.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
was
you were
over
looking at the Virginias at one point, weren't you?
I
And
was
Carolinas.
I was all the way to Minnesota. I was in New York. I was all the way over on the other side of Pennsylvania. I was looking everywhere.
Missouri at one point.
Yeah.
So the reason why he was looking, folks, was because Scott was kind of holding out. He was holding the line for
Yeah.
a very specific set of amenities
Yes.
included on the vehicle. So
since it's,
colors.
it's my 40, even though it's a little early, vehicle. Because I'm 40, I wanted some of those creature comforts, because the back hurts and that other stuff.
oh my God.
So,
oh my goodness.
wait, let me ask you this:
Listen
because
to
it's
this
for your
guy.
40th birthday,
Yeah.
are you putting it on 40s?
No,
Should be.
Should
be.
Should be.
No, I already.
We'll
like
see
the
what
fact I
Ryan
just-
Simons gets in here. When
just
see,
slide into it.
Ryan gets on 40s, he'll
We'll
badger
put
you
some
in the
rock
process.
slides on there for you, and then you can just
Oh,
slide in
there
with
it
that.
is.
Yeah.
Right?
But any which way, so there was a couple times I was tempted to just go in and buy a
Settle.
Or
You were
settle.
tempted to settle.
settle for a sport, but things just didn't quite line up. I had a certain number in my head, and ironically, with one little fee, we were right on that number for this one. And it is a Rubicon. I never thought in a million years I'd be able to be in this vehicle like I am. And on top of it's leather, heated seats, heated steering wheel, bed liners, Mopar tonneau cover,
Hard top.
hard top, already on 35s, aftermarket wheels, LED headlights, blind spot monitoring,
Yeah. the
backup assist. I mean, there's stuff already. I don't know. Like, I need to read the manual and try to figure out. My wife's programming things on the touchscreen.
Joe said it's your first anniversary of your 39th birthday.
Yeah.
Amen to that. And I think it's important to touch on what I just heard you say was I heard not quite verbatim, but I never thought I would be into a Rubicon of this trim level, right?
Yes.
And it's important for our listeners and for our viewers to understand, because I think it's such an interesting piece about our human experiences when you encounter someone, a business, a program, a company, when you encounter them, you get this picture in your mind of like, that's where this person has always been, right?
Yeah.
And I think that I think that a lot of people encountering SFJ 4x4 at this point in time, they see us going to the shows nationally. They see us. They see the 5,000 square foot facility, the 6 bays, the big builds. They see the podcast studios and the multiple podcasts, the social outreach, the
way I
YouTube.
put it. My last Jeep pickup truck I drove that I own, I paid $500 for.
Right. And I think that the issue is that people think like, oh, like those guys got it going on. And the reality is it's tremendously humble beginnings, right?
Yes.
That $500 pickup truck, the grind that we have encountered. I think that's
A lot
where
of late nights.
and I think that a lot of people say that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I get that. But when you are from, kind of the Midwestern, Northeast Great Lakes region, we don't have that coastal money. We don't have that West Coast, that South Coast money. We don't have the same kind of benefactors that other people may have. I mean, we are authentically living in this, this state of just above the poverty line, right? In our come up.
Yeah.
And the reality is, to say that you're at this trim level is just a testament of hard work, dedication. This is not, hey, I ran my credit, I leased this vehicle out. I was
didn't
in
run
all
up a
these
credit card to do it kind of scenario.
right.
And that's something that really, reflecting on it once I actually got it home and kind of like, okay, it's still there in the driveway. Did it happen kind of thing is, I just felt very, accomplished and just, my little PSA to everyone, if you have a dream, if you have something you really want to do, then do it. Anybody that makes excuses for why they can't do it, you're holding yourself back to why you can't.
Absolutely.
You can literally do anything. All you have to do is work towards it.
Yep.
And
Well,
that's what I did.
And you had a goal set for November to get this Jeep, and
Ironically, I had a goal before my birthday, which is next Monday, a week from today, to be driving this. And my daughter's birthday is this week, so now we have the truck for that. It's really it's perfect.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's a perfect storm, if you will. So, I think that'll be cool. We're gonna have to remember that in preparation. We'll have to do a little celebration next week for Scott. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So congratulations to you on a very cool vehicle.
Thank
you
you.
know, and Oscar is going to a good home.
100%.
And I look forward to what the new owner of Oscar will do, just as I enjoy watching some of the owners of these other previous builds out using them
Yep.
at local off-road parks and whatnot, and I get to vicariously live through them, through these vehicles that we have touched and helped.
I've been
you
very
know.
blessed. I get very good, genuine, good customers of the business and friends of the business to purchase previous vehicles from me. It's really a blessing.
Yeah.
And then I get to see them go out and enjoy them, and it doesn't feel bad at all. It's really good.
Right. It's important to you that the
Yeah.
vehicles get adopted to a
Yes.
good home, if you will.
100%.
With that said, I will disclose who our guest in studio this morning is, just about good homes and whatnot.
Mhm.
At this point in time, the Savage has leashed him up. We have Brownie the puppy dog,
Yes.
who randomly wandered. I was
Leaped into
actually
your arms.
legitimately. I mean, what an act of serendipity, because I had ran out to go grab the microphone from this weekend, and I had left it at home, and it had actually gotten separated from Savage and our departing ways, because if you don't know, everybody goes to SEMA and they get sick. They either get sick while they're at SEMA and
Yes.
they go home sick. I've seen a number of people on the, kind of the national the levels of socialization.
You can't go from the cold and wet here to sunny and 80 degrees there.
Surrounded by a gajillion people.
Yeah.
Surrounded by a gajillion people riding these school bus of airplanes to and from, and not get sick. So Savage and I got separated is what it comes down to.
Nice
But
leash, Dan.
Neil's just grabbing our special guest here.
so here is our special guest on camera.
Diesel is enamored.
Yeah, Diesel, who usually, likes to pretend, he's our shop dog, but he's so old he just hangs out on the couch or
Yes.
his
He is
special
living
orthopedic.
his best life right now.
Diesel is, yeah, because he lives on an orthopedic shop bed. But Brownie is here. Like I said,
He
jumped.
is very
Just
rambunctious.
a true beagle, if you will. So Savage brought him on. Here he comes back to you, Savage, coming out of studio there. Doesn't want to sit still at this point,
No.
but we have contacted, to the best of our ability, the services that he is tagged. Fortunately, and what I was going with the good home was that he is a really well marked dog, other than the fact that it does not have the owner's information on
Yes.
Yeah.
it. So has
or the dog's name.
or the dog's name, right? None of that, but
No,
it has
had the pet link with the identification number, and you go on to pet link, and it
And
provides
we've-
you with a lot
I
and
of.
we've
believe
done
we're
that.
also doing a social media post just to try to help that line as well.
We just want to get the puppy home as soon as possible.
yeah.
You know, So-
Obviously, a well-loved dog.
Totally.
Yes.
Totally. And Jeffrey, how was your transition back? We got back. We flew back from SEMA just enough time to try and give you guys some normalcy of a weekend with your families.
So it was a lot of recovery.
No doubt.
The
Recovery from what?
from patient zero, Davey.
Davey, Savage, and the walking.
Honestly, the walking wasn't that bad.
Good. Good.
Friday, I think
Maybe you didn't walk enough.
I don't think I did. Friday, I did end up a little dehydrated. Went back to the hotel a little early, rested, drank 2 Gatorlights, which is like the adult version of Pedialyte.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what is that?
It's really really, honestly, made all the difference in the world. Ended up going to buffet with Gregg and patient zero later in the day.
Yep.
There was. There's the transition point.
Right.
The buffet was amazing. I don't think I've ever ate so healthy in my life. I had plates of fruits and vegetables.
That's awesome.
Because I was trying to make sure that I didn't end up with the full cold that Davey had. I ended up, actually, I think mine was just a sinus infection.
Yeah.
Because of allergies. I forgot to take allergy medicine with me.
Right.
And so the plane ride back,
Samesies.
the plane ride back, it just kind of exploded in my head.
Oh, samesies.
So other than that, pretty good. Yesterday, I was feeling decent enough. Spent a bunch of time with the kids and with Kristen. And
Joe Brilla says typhoid savage.
Typhoid
Yes.
savage.
There's some truth to that.
Yeah, you have no idea. So Davey, I don't know what he was thinking, but he downed between Dayquil, NyQuil, and Mucinex 4 bottles of medicine.
Oh
Bottles in less than 48 hours.
Oh.
Savage did some things in 48 hours.
When Neil showed up, Savage had no idea where he was, what day of week it was, nothing. I told Davey, hey, you want to get up? We're going to breakfast with Neil. He's like, what time did his flight get in? I'm like, he got in last night. He's like, huh, I didn't realize he was coming in so early. I'm like, Davey, what are you talking
Davey
about?
thought it was like Monday or something. Yeah, I think once the cold sinus congestion medicine got out of his system, we were like trying to encourage him to flush with water and stuff afterwards because he had so much so much medicine in his system at that point.
Savage.
You know what the challenge is? And if you've ever flown and you're a little congested, if you've flown a little sick, that's very hard on your system. The pressurizing, the ascent and the descent, that kind of stuff is very challenging.
Oh, my ears are still plugged from it.
Oh, yeah. And I'm fortunate because I started to panic a little bit because I was so plugged and there was so much pressure on my head as we descended into Cleveland.
The pain coming back into Cleveland was I took my earbuds out. And I was like, nope, I can't do it. It was just so much pain.
It was weird. I've not experienced that before.
I would agree.
And
Davey's knocking over the shop.
I think that's Brownie, the puppy, is wreaking havoc in the shop and showroom there. So hopefully Brownie's okay and we can keep moving on.
So
I see the dog; he's fine.
One of my favorite stories that I have of SEMA, besides all the builds and everything, was definitively when Neil realized that he had stains all over his shirt. Not just one, multiple. So we go to the SEMA.
Good old Jeffrey.
We go to the SEMA.
Rip that Band-Aid right off.
Well, the best part wasn't that. It was when we go to the SEMA.
Wait a second. Okay, I'm gonna just interject just a second, right? So first of all, I come out there now. I have a lot of life going on. No, I just feel like I need to contextualize. I've got a lot of life going on.
Contextualizing. I'm still gonna tell the story.
I got a lot of life going on, and I tried. Very, very important to me to try to support. Scott and being, the man holding down the brick and mortar for us. And I tried to push as much as I could through a normal first of the week schedule, make sure our customers were still getting their Jeeps. Communication was appropriate.
The clock just does not slow down, though.
The clock does not slow down. My wife was able to join us this year, which was the first time she's ever been out. And, I've been going for 6 years, 6+ years at this point. And, this was the first time, so I was really excited, but I wanted to make sure, her laundry was done and she's a teacher. So there's a lot of life going on there with her. And so I didn't pack wonderfully, let's be honest.
Well, and then at breakfast, you had spilled some of your breakfast a little bit. Which that happens.
Happens, and I got hot sauce on my shirt, so I throw on, and I wanted to have all my SFJ gear, right? Yeah. But I work in a lot of my SFJ gear as well. Mm-hmm. So I had the I Speak Jeep podcast shirts. I have a heather gray one and a black one. I wore the black one on day one.
Earlier in the week, Neil literally had to leave the shop, go put laundry in, come back. Wait for it to wash.
Or dry.
Go dry, and then come back. So it was a process.
It was a process, right?
Yes.
So I go to breakfast on Friday, I think it was.
Yeah, it was Friday morning.
I'm wearing the gray shirt. I get a little reckless with the hot sauce, and I get a little spot right on my fuzzy navel, right? Yep. On the belly.
And I was doing belly shots with hot sauce.
I was doing belly shots with hot sauce in Vegas, right? That's what I heard. So I thought, you know what? It's going to be okay because we wear these lanyards. and it's
It'll
going to
hide it.
cover that spot, right? So we get to we leave breakfast, we get to the actual event, we start to shoot content outside. The sunlight is bright and beautiful, and all of a sudden the guys start being like, "Oh, you got another spot there in your shirt."
He had coffee up
Oh, you
at
got-
the collar where he'd spilled a little coffee.
Oh, you got another spot right there. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I'm trying to meet with people. I'm trying to shoot content
So
for
what
folks.
I hear is we need the SFJ pullover for eating out at
Yes,
Vegas.
yes.
Yeah, he
So
needs an
brand it.
SFJ bib.
I need an SFJ bib, right?
I was
So
trying to be nice. Hey, this pullover, but you want to call it a bib? That's fine.
so he's like, all right, I got to go buy a shirt from the SEMA truck. So I'm like, they're like $40. He's like, at this point, I don't care. I need a clean shirt. We go over to the SEMA truck. Wait in line. There's a long line.
Long
There's
line.
a crowd
Big
of people
crowd.
behind us.
Big crowd.
He
First
gets,
of all, and it's important to note, SEMA still doesn't love off-road vehicles. 4x4s and off-road vehicles is still
always,
not.
It's a weird contention thing that if you haven't, like, I've seen both sides coming from the hot rod side, but most hot rod people don't like four-wheel drives for some unforeseen reason.
Right.
Where most off-road people like
Hot rods.
hot rods.
We appreciate hot rods.
Yeah, it's
But-
this really weird dynamic.
But hot rodders don't, if you're
No.
an authentic diehard hot rodder, you oftentimes do not like the 4x4 market.
Correct.
And so the challenge is, I really wanted a shirt. Now, as a person who loves automotive in general,
Right.
and I love, low riders and artistic displays of hot rodding,
As long as it's not a hollow drive shaft.
as long as it's not a hollow drive shaft, which I love that I started a trend online. That I'm looking at all these shirts and I'm like, oh, I could buy that one. It's kind of a cool car on it. There's a cool hot rod inspired car, that kind of stuff.
So,
I,
so do they sell out of your size as soon as
well,
you get up there?
there's only one shirt that sort of had, one had a slammed K5 on it, which was okay. It was kind of a cool shirt. And one shirt had like a hot rod, like maybe a sports car, and then something that looked like a Raptor, like a crew cab, sport truck.
What some classic
lifted.
car guy thought was a 4x4.
Right, what classic car. And I thought, what I like there is that shirt was like a maroon. It wasn't like just your standard black and gray.
Yeah.
It had 3 different cars, so it had a diversity of some of the cars
It spoke
represented
to
at
you.
SEMA. I was like, okay, I can do that one.
yeah.
Go ahead, Jeffrey.
So he goes up and is like, all right, I'll try an XL in that.
I'm usually an XL.
Everything was a
the-
medium.
he asked the guy,
The-
what size are you wearing? And the guy's about our build, 5'10".
He's a schmedium. The
170,
guy is
180.
legitimately a
He's a
schmedium.
combination of me and Scott, somewhere in the middle.
And
because
Yes.
he's wearing an extra large, isn't
He's
he?
wearing an extra
And he goes,
large.
I'm wearing an extra
And
large.
it actually looked kind of tight on him.
And I was like, uh-oh, this is bad news,
So he
man.
stops and goes, all right, give me a 2X. Goes to put the 2X
So
on.
here I am standing in the front of the line. Savage is videoing,
Of
right?
course he is,
And I go ahead and I strip right at the front of the counter.
because Neil doesn't care.
And I have an undershirt on, right? But I start to strip right at the front of the counter. I'm going to try this shirt on,
Yeah,
right?
you're wearing like a green tank or something.
I
underneath.
promise you, this 2X looks like a sports bra on
He
me.
could not get it over his chest.
And this
tight.
guy is like, go ahead, put it all the way down. Put it all the way down. And I was like, oh, heck no, I'm not
It's a-
putting it all
so
the way
when he
down.
pulls-
He
look.
pulled it down a little bit, and it looked like, your bodybuilder that wants to wear that tight,
Yeah, he
Tight
could just
shirt,
flexed and ripped
rip
the
the
shirt.
shirt off. Yes,
Yeah.
As a
100%.
2X. As a 2X.
They're pre-shrunk.
So then,
Pretty shrunk.
so
Pretty
then
really
he
shrunk.
gets the 3X and puts that on, and he's swimming in it.
It's a tent. I'm wearing a tent.
But the crowd behind is cheering, saying how well it looks on him.
Yes, because now at this point I'm stripping, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that looks really good." And I was like,
literally, the crowd is cheering for him at this point.
"I'm like, this looks awful. It looks awful." And I think they were just cheering because it was such a spectacle of this guy trying on shirts.
Well,
at
they
the
just
front of
wanted
the-
to get up there and get their
They
shirt.
wanted
That's
to get this
exactly-
shirt, So what I decided we were going to do is I'm going to give this shirt away. I'm going to wash it. I will. But if somebody wants this 3X, you're going to see it used in the YouTube videos, and you're going to see it. You're going to see me swimming in it. But if you are listening and you are a 3X of any capacity, it's a decent looking shirt. It's a good size. I think it is authentically
Well, is
a
it
3X.
a 3X or not?
No.
I think that's actually a 3X.
It actually fits like a 3X.
I think
okay?
the XL and the 2X were short.
The
were small.
XL and 2X were a different cut altogether.
Okay.
But this 3X is a nice shirt. We'll post up some pictures of it. I'm gonna wash it. I'm gonna launder it. I really only wore it for like a day or you know what I mean. I don't think I even wore it for the day. You're going to see it in the YouTube videos. We're going to give it away with a swag pack. I'm going to launder it for you. And if you are a 3X person and would like a SEMA shirt, I want to give you that SEMA shirt. I want you to represent it. Know that it's used in the YouTube videos. Know that it's a great, authentic SEMA branded gear. And we're going to have you comment on one of the videos coming up. Just that it's something that you like. And quite frankly, if we get 1 or 2 people, we'll just kind of do a randomizer and draw a name. But more or less, we'll probably just get 1 or 2 people who comment that they would like the shirt. I want to send you that shirt. But then you're going to have to take a picture in it, right? We'll have to do like a who wore it better type of situation.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I want to give that shirt away to somebody because, quite frankly, I didn't like the cut on me, I wore it because I could not run the spots on it to save my life, or the spots on my shirt to save my life.
I mean, it kind of reminded me like the shirts were like your athletic cuts, the 2Xs and the XLs, and then you get to the 3X and it was just a husky cut.
Oh.
He's probably exactly correct. And the 1X and 2X were not 1X, 2Xs. They were, size them down yet another line. So
yeah,
whatever. And that's why I think, and just a side note, when we're making our own merchandise and gear, it's so important to me that we use quality, quality shirts that people actually want to wear.
That are pretty true to size.
That is true to size and a good cut as possible. Yeah, totally. Because like I said, I mean, the best thing we can do with this shirt right now is give it away to somebody who will really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Realistically, I'm not going to wear it again. I just didn't. It's a cool shirt.
Yeah.
I just didn't like how it fit me because it was just at that point too big.
Yeah.
But anyways, so yeah, there was that. That was a morning where we actually had kind of everybody together. Everybody was healthy enough that morning within reason, right? And had the opportunity. My wife joined us on the outside show. She was the one who was probably the most sick that morning.
Well, and Joe was saying when you hit the buffet and the buffet hits you, I'm going to be honest with you, Joe. I think the buffet is the reason I didn't get as sick as Davey was at the beginning of the week.
Oh,
because of all the nutrients that I got from there.
Okay.
So
okay.
That was Gregg and I's thing about going to the buffet was that we'd have that choice of all the different fresh fruits, fresh vegetables that we hadn't really ate much of that week.
Well, and that is a challenge. Is that Las Vegas, from my standpoint, and I grew up in small town America, I was really anti Las Vegas before I ever started going out there. It is tremendously overwhelming. It is a saturation of bright lights and intense sounds and smells and experiences.
The mad scientist doesn't like.
Oh, my wife was overstimulated. You know what I mean?
We forced Neil to take the monorail at least once with us to experience the overcrowding, and what he got to experience was mild, and it was still crowded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
there was a point where Gregg and I were leaving the convention center to go back to the hotel, and we were standing in line at the base of the escalator, and they said, no pushing, no pushing. We didn't walk. We ended up on the escalator. We ended up on the monorail train, and then they were shoving, literally shoving.
The employees, the staff.
The monorail staff were shoving people in, going, oh, we can fit more. We can fit more. We're like, no, we can't. They're like, yeah, we'll just squish you in. And they were shoving. They shoved 3 more people into our car after we were already packed full. And then the doors wouldn't shut, and they just kept pushing on people as the doors were shutting to get us in.
If you've ever seen those internet sensational memes of like the pickup trucks overloaded with humans in underdeveloped countries,
yes,
this is how the transportation industry works in Las Vegas, and I'm sure many of the other bigger cities across the country. And it was definitely something that if you're not used to it, and I know Jeffrey's telling this story, I did ride the monorail years ago and experience a similar thing. Obviously, my own peculiarities don't allow me to do it regularly.
Yeah,
it was definitely a sensation, if you will.
I'll walk.
And it was interesting. It was interesting to kind of be reminded or exposed to that again. Because you are just there is no personal space.
I mean, Gregg and I were just laughing at it. There was nothing else you could do. You could get mad if you wanted, but you weren't going anywhere. You couldn't even get to your phone in your pocket. You were crammed that tight. You were not moving your arms.
Yeah.
Don't worry about handrails. You weren't moving.
It's just a solid mass of people.
It was.
Crazy, right? So needless to say, definitely an interesting situation with that. And of course, you talk about a breeding ground for health issues.
That's against everything that we've been trying to do.
Oh yeah, there's no social distancing in that
Yeah.
regard.
No.
There's no social distancing.
That's crazy.
But as far as the show itself, one of the pieces that we often convey to people is the immense size and scope of things that you can become involved in.
I would say I was not overwhelmed, but I was admirably impressed with the size of the facility, the size of the convention center, all the parking lots, all the buildings you have to walk through, top and bottom floors. It was by far the biggest thing I've ever attended,
Yes.
without question.
And I think, we'll in the YouTube video, we'll tell you the square footage. You're going to have to watch that YouTube video to find out the square footage of the venue itself. And that's just under roof and under cover. There's parking lot experiences outside. One of the things that my wife enjoyed the most was the drift competitions. In the past, they've actually had some Baja performance inspired displays. This year, there were 3 different automotive displays. So a couple drift spaces, a burnout, the burn lot from Hoonigan. You had the Shell drift experience, and then you had the Optima Power Sports Challenge going on. So there was a lot of things to watch. The cool thing about Shell was it was authentically professional drivers on closed courses, and so they were doing these really cool drift competitions or displays, and
They were doing tandem
and triple drifts.
Yeah.
And then they actually had a Baja truck out there.
That was pretty
doing
cool.
drifts as well, which just made me love Baja trucks.
And
wide body IFS.
And the
trucks
best part
more and
about it
more.
was that lot was not level. They were getting air at times.
Yes. Yeah.
Were there any like road course or that kind of stuff?
So not exactly road
No.
course, but in the Optima Power Sports Challenge or whatever that was, they did do a rally course. They did a Power Sports Challenge.
Oh, okay.
And the thing is, and I will talk about that a little bit later in today's episode, that it was a little more of an obscure lot. It was very big. It's a huge space. But where it's specifically located has been a lot that has been underutilized the last couple years. And so it was a great opportunity for SEMA to collaborate with Optima. And Optima had a big splash because they had a couple big trailers out there, and it really was a commanding space with incredibly cool builds.
I'm just going to say the Optima lot is the reason that Neil used the DJ nickname. If you know, you know.
I'm going to tell you the worst part of our trip, and I will share that. I will share coming up here in the near future my favorite build and the worst part of our trip. I will.
It wasn't the worst.
It was, Jeffrey. You did a thing.
So about
It wasn't the
10
worst.
years ago, last time I went to the Columbus Good Guys shows, they did like an autocross where they take vintage cars and they go through a time course.
That is what I'm talking about.
Oh,
The
okay.
autocross, the rally inspired what I was
Yeah.
saying there. It was an autocross course. The Optima was
Crazy how fast those cars go through there.
yes, and they were doing. There was a whole bunch of
Good
different
morning, Amy.
classes. There was a whole bunch of different classes.
As a vehicle
the
you really
autocross.
liked part of that.
Oh, we're unpacking.
scene? Yeah.
We're unpacking some of my favorite build.
98% sure I know which one it is.
We're unpacking some of my favorite build of SEMA that I promise is not getting picked up by
I
mainstream
hope
media.
I'm right because I followed this build because it's me for a while.
So
I could tell you quite a bit about this.
So we'll. I can't wait. So we did the outside shooting. I did the strip tease for the crowd at the
cheers.
SEMA merchandise. With cheers. We're gonna give you that shirt. We're gonna give somebody that shirt.
The best part is Davey was filming that, so there should be
course he
some.
was.
There will be some of that in the YouTube. Yeah,
I
that's
would
what I'm
be
saying.
So disappointed. I don't care how sick he was. He had to film that.
Oh yeah, we're gonna, and that's what I'm saying. You're gonna need a comment on that video. We'll make sure that we get that promoted.
What I gotta say, other than him being patient zero, he really did do a lot of coverage for as sick as he was.
I saw a picture. He was like wedged in between a tractor trailer, cab, and back. Doing some shots.
Yeah.
And that was a great partner business that we had the opportunity to be face to face with.
We actually sat on their lounges. They had couches set up. So the first day, Greg, myself, and Davey literally sat on their couches with them and just talked business for probably 2 hours.
That's awesome.
It was a really good experience for them and us. We learned a lot about them. They learned a lot about us, and where they can expand so that we can offer even better deals to our customers.
And I think it's valuable to say that is the underpinnings of what makes SEMA so special.
It's kind of what started.
Just being able to sit on a couch instead of walking the show.
Well,
No, Jeffrey.
no, Jeffrey. The idea that we're
Before
able.
it was a car show. It was really about meeting other people in the industry.
And no,
Correct.
Joe, we're not going to talk about the double deck Quake Jeep.
No, not that one. And I did actually for Joe, I did get to see Drew out there. I don't think he anticipated being there, but it was nice seeing him and touching base. And all the authentically unusual Jeeps in the process. That
There was a lot of fun.
there's a
ones.
lot of fun vehicles, and cars and trucks in general, right? And so some of them were good and worthwhile, and some were pavement princesses or art displays.
Yeah.
But what I was saying for us is the ability to, one of the things that has pushed us forward and made us unique in the market is our ability to identify up and coming product, to work through the beta levels of when that product is new. We really try to communicate to people, like when you buy your Jeep, truck, car, whatever from the manufacturer, we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar companies that have huge research and development, departments and funding. When you buy an aftermarket part, whether it be suspension or lighting or some type of engine performance modification, that's usually not the same level or caliber of investment before that product comes to market.
Yep.
So the challenge of what we call speed to market on the manufacturing side of things is the fact that sometimes that product isn't great early on in its lifespan. And so us as a business that is on the forefront, oftentimes we're using product that has quirks, and we have to work through it. The value is that when we meet people face to face, when we meet the engineer who created the switch system, when we make the engineer who is responsible for the lighting and the development of this new lighting that is only a year and a half old, and ARB just picked up 33% of it, and they're about to blow it onto the market.
Yep.
We're first to market. We understand what that engineer is doing. So when we call up and say, hey, this isn't quite right, they can then go, oh, you know what? We know you guys. We know you're legit. We know that you have tried X, Y, and Z
just
workaround.
here complaining about it.
You're not just here complaining about it. And you're not Jim Bob Yahoo who just wired it wrong.
Yeah.
Let me make sure that we get you and your customer taken care of early on in the process.
Yep.
100%.
And so that's really the value. The other piece is the group that you sat with and had a big, brouhaha. We equally did that with a competitor of theirs a year ago.
Yeah.
And where that value is that gives us greater buy-in with them to say, hey, we're here to be invested in the market for the growth of our company and for the growth and benefit of our customers.
Yeah.
Yep.
So while the eye candy is what gets the attention online,
100%.
the meat and potatoes of the event is our ability to talk with people and review products that we use and talk to those individuals every day, but they're over in, California or Utah or Minnesota or wherever,
West Coast.
or even East Coast, and we just don't see them, right?
True.
So very cool stuff there. The big thing, it is such a big, overwhelming event that there are pockets of obscurity tucked away. I will tell you the other thing is, and what I like to do is while I will absolutely zero in, if you've seen my reel on the white J truck that that I utilized for my this year's Hot or Not review.
Yep.
And I will just say, like, it's an art piece. It's not actually intended to be a functional truck by any stretch of the imagination.
Yep.
It's a beautiful J truck in body, but really sad because I'd like it to be a truck,
Yes.
and it's not.
Well, there's
at
still
this point.
hope. They could take that cab and box off and put it on another frame.
They
and
could
start over.
They could start over. And there's a whole population of people with those fancy overbuilt control arms that have
Yes.
all the kind of the CNC and the laser table work on them. It's very interesting.
Yep.
It's a little lost on me
Yeah.
as an enthusiast, but I can appreciate it as an artist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So while I'll cover that as well, I think I actually accept it as a challenge for me to bring kind of that intimate stuff that we know is cool and make sure that it gets the airtime that you're not getting from the other online personalities, right?
Yeah.
And so the other remark, and I'll get to my favorite Jeep here in just a minute. The other remark is, I'll tell you, I found the only YJ present at SEMA. Did you find a YJ?
I don't think we did.
No, I haven't seen this Jeep represented on any mainstream.
Well, there's somewhere in the
media?
YJ group on Facebook that they found it.
Potentially.
Because I tell you, all my J full
Whereabouts did you find it? Let me ask you that.
size in a parking lot, I'm sure.
I did not. I
Oh.
found it in a $high booth.
Oh,
In the lower North Hall, which would have been in the new product release and the Battle of the Builders Hall.
How did we not see that?
Exactly. I haven't seen it on the internet either, folks, but you're going to want to tune in to
I know
to
exactly where
Savages.
you're talking about.
I'm gonna,
I don't know
you're
how
gonna
we
want to
missed it.
tune into our YouTube coverage because I'm going to tell you, I believe I found the only YJ present at SEMA. Better yet, I'm going to take it one step further. It was an 87 to 90 YJ. First gen YJ, if you will.
What I always enjoy, obviously, I've not attended personally, but I like to see vehicles that I've seen on builds, on groups or something I've seen, and been able to then see it on, your coverage or other people's coverage, and it gets showcased there. One of which was like a 49 Buick that's gold with no headlights. I
Okay.
actually got to watch that get built on one of the early traditional cars. That's a custom. And then I heard it was like front and center in one of the halls. I thought that was pretty cool.
That is cool. And it's neat. The other thing is the big takeaway that I will share with you all that I learned, right, this year is how many vehicles, for many people west of the Mississippi, go to SEMA. They are displayed at SEMA multiple years.
Mm-hmm.
I did not understand that before. For me, and my experience of the many years, the years that I've been going, for me, I was like, we have to do a big splash.
Mm-hmm.
That vehicle has to basically have a level of completion right before SEMA,
Yeah.
and it has to debut there.
Yeah.
And I'm amazed at how many people that I met who this vehicle has been built and displayed there and then refined and brought back.
Yes.
And that
I
they
think
actually
my favorite of those was the motorcycle setup that you couldn't figure out. And we got great content of that, so you're going to have to watch YouTube for that.
I mean, case in point, that Buick, I believe, was released for Grand National Roadster show in California.
yes.
That's what, literally, the guy was doing all-nighters to get that done and sprayed the paint like the week before that show.
Yes.
So then, now it's just going around and doing the circuit.
Yes.
you know.
And there is a motorcycle that we'll talk about, or it'll either be a short or make the YouTube, the vlog, the Life in Low Range. That it's such a Frankenstein. It's so cool. I don't understand what's going on, and I try to we try to pick it apart. And fortunately, kind of as sometimes happens, the owner kind of just owner builder kind of is there, stumbles upon us.
He was literally walking up on it as we were trying to
understand what was we were
solve it.
looking at.
That's
and
awesome.
then that was actually the husband or boyfriend, whatever.
Builder, yeah, he was the builder. And
he
then
was
there
the
was
builder, but
significant
the
other
actual
was
designer and the
owner.
the owner,
She was the actual owner.
the owner, and the kind of the idea, the creative mind
Power
behind
couple.
Sure.
it. It was you and Amy.
It's awesome.
It was.
I
It
feel
was.
like I do that.
It was without question. Because she kind of had a vision, and he made it. It was a great conversation about the human mind as well, because he said she's had this vision for years,
That's awesome.
And nobody
And
would touch it.
nobody would touch it, and she has kind of seen this and what she wanted to create, and then was actually able to bring it to fruition, and it is absolutely a well-worked Frankenstein of a trike.
That's
right?
awesome.
But it looks good from the outside, moving on to it. And he said he brought it last year. It was like in primer, and it didn't have all the finishing pieces.
Yep.
And what he said he really appreciated this year was that people who had saw it at the show last year and then were able to see the progression of it this year.
Yep.
The other one from last year you'll see in my top 5 favorite Jeeps was the Tonka Jeep.
Was back.
Last year was on an obscure back lot with just like pictured with 5 or 6 other Jeeps or other vehicles. And this year it was actually in the SEMA Battle of the Builders competition.
And I cannot express how big that Tonka Jeep is.
It's huge.
It's huge.
It's absolutely massive because it's sitting on a 2500 Dodge Ram chassis.
Yep.
And so they actually, they did the body work to make it wider. They did the body work to make it longer.
I mean, even
but
the grill
proportionately-
itself was proportioned appropriately, but it was just massive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really interesting, really interesting thing that they
I've
did.
seen the transition of that where it seemed like before you just had to make it look nice and it didn't matter if it ran or not, and you shoved it on there, where there's been more this year of, okay, we're pausing the build. We're getting it far enough. We're going to take it out. Here's our vision. Here's what we're going to do. And then next year, we're going to blow your socks
I think
off.
that's really interesting, the observation, because I did hear some negative, some negative Nancy's talking about some of these art piece vehicles that
Yeah.
come in on a trailer and they kind of get pushed into place. And that does happen. I get that.
I would say there was a lot of functional ones this year, though.
It has increasingly been a priority to make vehicles functional.
Yeah.
There was a lot less Bluetooth drive shafts. Of course, I did find the one Jeep Bluetooth drive
As
shaft,
you should.
as I should, and I
Yes.
made sure that we were among the first to market to say, hey, this thing, should not be like this.
Yep.
But realistically, we found it. But there was still a lot of vehicles with both drive shafts. There's a really interesting group there that shows up now for several years. And it's really interesting. I don't know anything about them. I look forward to looking into them. They have this really sick semi-truck that they bring that hauls all of these mid-90s F-250s, F-350s. They are a group that specializes in a very specific look
Mm-hmm.
of Ford, of 90s Ford trucks. And I'm fascinated by them because I could be honest with you, for 2 or 3 years, their display is almost identical. They set it up identically. They put their tent in the same spot. They put these trucks. They did bring, in the past, I felt like they had an old body Dodge in there or two, something to mix it up. This year, it was literally just the same body style, 3/4 ton and 1 ton Ford pickup trucks, all built identically. And so what an interesting business model. When people have in the past said to us, like, oh, you think you can, run a business just doing Jeeps?
Yes.
Here is a business,
Standardized on a specific brand,
a specific brand,
specific body type.
specific body type,
Yeah.
and
build design.
and build design.
yes.
And somehow they are paying for, I promise you, and I figured out the booth pricing. They're paying for nothing shy of a $20,000+ booth to display about 5 to 6 OBS Ford trucks,
wow.
well,
and a semi truck.
and that is just the booth space. There's also things like if you want to be able to scan people's badges for their contact info, you're paying another $500-$600
Just for the ability to
scan the
to
QR
scan
code.
their QR codes and follow up with them.
Yeah.
Really interesting differentiation. I think that's why SEMA becomes that next level participation. So yes, there is the ability to attend if you are a professional within industry, but there's also once you're actually displaying there, it's fascinating to say. Now, actually having just a vehicle on site, that's a different price point. That's not a booth necessarily, but as far as the
it looks like Brownie's.
it looks like Brownie's leaving. Bye, Brownie. We appreciate Brownie the puppy dog. I think they're going off to owner. I see Savage taking care of people up front, so that will be excellent. That is all taken care of. But anyway, so super cool stuff there. I think we'll tell. I'm going to tell the story. I think about how Jeffrey was,
how I saved you $20.
That's not at all true.
I saved you $20. I did save
this
you $20.
is Jeffrey's
Was Jeffrey
ability
doing
to find
things.
So here we are at the end of the event, and we went ahead and we were trying to catch the Lyft, Uber, the ride share out of the event, right?
Which they have 2 designated areas for it.
2 designated areas.
One at the west lot and one at the south lot.
Now, it's important to note that this complex is so large that I talked a lot about it last year, that there is actually, based on Elon Musk, the Boring Company, they have actually created a series of intricate
tunnels.
underground tunnels, which you'll see in last year, covered in last year's vlog series. So they actually have the ability to run you 3 different locations, just all within the complex of this facility. And
I found the secret shortcut. I'm just going to put that out there.
Oh, jeez.
You like that shortcut, so you can't deny that.
We did. It was interesting that Jeffrey did find a secret entrance into the tunnels. It's the stuff that conspiracy theories are well made of.
Oh,
know.
geez.
And
worked.
I'm not going to say we were line hoppers, but
but we
might have been line hoppers, right? Because everybody else was too busy taking the escalator into the tunnels. So here's the thing: we're standing at arguably the south end of the facility, and for purposes, let's call it the southwest end, right?
Yeah.
And we're standing in this lot. And we're going to grab the ride share because we're going to go out to this unique place called Area 15, which, according to their marketing, doesn't exist, right? It exists, but it doesn't exist. And that's a whole other story about how I'm super butthurt about
Neil got us kicked out.
customer service at,
If it don't exist, and you can't get kicked out of it.
That's the impressive part, is that we got kicked out of a place that doesn't exist.
No, that's true.
That makes sense.
That's a true story and one for a campfire. So if you see us in person, folks, and you're an avid listener, I'm happy to tell you about
He's
that.
too angry to talk about it
I
on
am
air.
still too angry to talk about it on air. So as far as we're standing in the southwest end of this facility, and we go ahead. We said we're going to ride share instead of the guys taking the monorail and getting packed in like cattle.
Yeah.
We're going to take the ride share. So I think it was Gregg, and he goes, "Hey, I think it's down here. It's down in this Optima lot." And
it was actually started with me because I said we follow the taxi signs,
okay,
and we went. So we were following the taxi signs.
yes,
We got to the Optima lot, and we were all kind of looking around, and I'm like, that's all gated off down there.
it's all gated off, and there's all these people going through the gate.
They're herding through the gate.
It's just a man door opening, just 4 feet wide,
And I'm like,
they're herding through.
I was like, looks like they're just doing another Optima event. And it was only like
And
4
I said,
something
really,
at this
all
time.
of these people are going. No, it was 5. It was Thursday night. It had fully closed down. We closed out the show Thursday.
Okay.
We closed it down on Thursday because remember we had closed it out. We were up in the
right.
tool hall.
You're right. You're right.
And everybody was packing out. There was a couple activities still, just if the Hoonigan booth and the Optima booth, but realistically, we closed down the show on Thursday night. We go ahead and we go to this gate, and we get right up to the gate, and these people are going through it, and we go, and Jeffrey's like, yeah, I think it's just the Optima event. And I said, really, you think all these people are just flowing through here just to watch the Optima event? And Jeffrey's like, yeah, they're probably just not done watching cool stuff for the day. And we were like, okay. So we turn around and we walk.
Well, didn't somebody else say, hey, those taxi signs are probably just for regular stuff, not for this event? So we shouldn't keep following him.
I am. Is that what you're trying to put out
I
here?
don't know.
Are you trying to
I don't know if it was
Socratically-
you or
So
Greg
typically
or somebody
speaking-
said something about that.
Typically speaking, you don't have taxis and rideshare together. In Vegas, taxis
It was
and
you that said
rideshares
it, okay.
don't occupy the same space. That's the reality of the situation based on
So between my poor observations and his
and my bias.
bias,
My bias that taxis and rideshares typically don't operate in the same space in Vegas because there is bad blood between the two of them. Really, Diesel? Diesel is on set today. I'm going to go ahead and bring him on screen. You wanna...
Oh,
whoa, he's
Do it,
throwing me
man.
off the.
Do it,
He
man.
almost threw me off the grandma couch.
Hi,
So-
buddy.
Okay, there we go.
So-
Diesel's on screen. I almost fell over in the process.
Yeah.
Diesel's feeling needy because Brownie was in
Are
house.
you missing Brownie?
If you can see on screen, folks, this is the most adorable thing. Diesel is snuggling Uncle Scott in the process. He's all tuckered out from Brownie running around.
That was a lot of rough stuff, huh?
It was.
You're not done petting him. He wants more pets.
I don't know what's
No, he's
going
gotta
on
do
here.
the old man turn.
He
And
did the
sit
old-
on me.
It's fantastic. He's just off screen, but it is the cutest thing.
So, anyways,
All
we
right.
had all that bias of why
Where
we
they should and shouldn't be
why
together.
we shouldn't be going that way. So we turn around.
And they haven't asked for any IDs yet, so you're fine.
So we
No.
we turn around. We go back to the loop to get on to. We take
Wait a
we
second,
take my shortcut.
Wait a second. We go
I'm
back to
lost.
the loop.
So,
Which is
we
I'm
walk.
still at
way-
the gate that we may or may not
we
go through.
walk a half a mile away
Yeah.
to the shortcut.
So did we go through the gate? That
we did
were-
not.
No,
we
we didn't.
turned around right at the gate.
we
I'm
turned around at the
impressed.
gate.
We turned around
It's not Neil
right
like.
at the gate. Yes, because I was trusting Jeffrey. I was
That was your
listening-
first mistake.
That was my first mistake.
But anyway,
we go to the loop place, and so we walk all the way around. We go to the back, the shortcut to into the loop. We do what we do there. We also do what we do once we're downstairs.
Yep.
We ride the Tesla loop underground.
And Greg goes, I think we came in at the south.
So Greg goes, I think we come in at the south. That's where the lot is that we want to go, because the guys were trying to find this lot that they
Originally
came in on previously.
which was not the south.
And so Greg in this moment then puts us into the trifecta and goes, we need to go to the south lot. Let's get in
For
line for the
those that
south
don't
lot.
know, Jeff really likes to be right.
No, I was
The
wrong. I
smile-
was very
the
wrong.
Smile that he just had.
Needless
No,
to say,
I was
we
very
pop
wrong.
up out of the ground. We get out of the car. I'm familiar with where we're at. Jeff and Greg are looking at each other going, I don't think we've ever seen this location before.
Nope, we hadn't.
And the last time we saw it was last year. Greg and I saw it, and Davey, when we went to go visit our friends Adam's Drive Shaft, and that is the lot that was closest to the Uber Lyft location that allowed us to go to see our friends at Adam's. So I'm familiar with this loop transfer space. We pop up out of the ground, and now we are at the kind of this derelict. There's nothing around us, a huge parking lot. The loop is running. There's some industrial entranceways. We are at the back far end of the convention center, right?
We were about to cross the street to go into this other massive parking lot
Now,
where
here's-
security is monitoring.
Here's the beautiful piece of Las Vegas, and I authentically believe this. There are, for as crazy and bright and loud and sensory overload as that place is, there are a lot of good people.
there is.
There's a lot of good people who recognize, and most people there are transplants, and so they recognize the look of a transplant or a person who is out of place.
Yes.
Right?
You had that, hey, I'm from Ohio, I'm lost look.
And not one but two different one an actual police officer
Who was
or some-
directing traffic.
who was directing traffic,
Stops traffic
and a security
helps us out.
stops the road and is like, where are you guys trying to go? Now, meanwhile, traffic is backing up. We are having a conversation with a security guard and a police officer while we stand in the mouth of this driveway. And we're trying to find the ride share. And they're like, well, it's not this way, buddy. You're going to want to go that way, past
Follow
the
the
buses.
buses.
Follow the buses, follow this little sidewalk, go through the alley, and you'll find it. Traffic is backing up while we just have like the most pleasant Minnesotian conversation
really
with
was.
a police officer and a security guard. And everybody was like just super happy and honestly pretty, welcoming to say, hey, you need to go this other direction.
The best part is all of traffic is honking at this point. They're getting frustrated. And the guards and the police didn't care. They were just happy to
Completely
help us.
unbothered, just happy
It's
to
another day at the job.
Just another day at the job. Just
Yep.
totally chill about helping us. So we turned back around. We walked past the loop that we had just come up out of the ground. We walk towards this kind of just, it's basically like a bus lane that says do not enter, you know? And there's another security guard. As we walk to our doom into the bus lane, it was like, whoa, small town America, where are you going? And we were like,
we were told
follow
go this way for
follow the
rideshare.
buses. He's like, no, this little creepy sidewalk, this little pen of a space is where you need to follow. So we're like, okay, we go in between these two buildings with this, cattle gate and then a concrete
Must have been the
divider.
alley he was talking about.
It was the alley. We walk down this. We actually start to see more humans again. So we're like, okay, this is a good
We're
sign.
still safe.
We
It gets so much better.
we
Here's where I was so wrong.
we can't see anything because we're in this little alley of whatnot. We bank left and we bank right.
And lo and behold, what's right in front of us?
I have no idea.
The other side of the Optima lot.
The gate that we did not walk through 100 yards.
Oh, Jeffrey.
We walked out and I saw that. I'm like, huh.
Oh, we were so wrong. There's the ride share. There's the other end of the Optima lot.
So you almost went all the way, and you're like, nope, we don't feel comfortable. We have to go the long way.
We went all the
The
way
entire way around the facility.
entire way back around the facility.
Wasted,
Oh,
what,
Jeffrey.
45 minutes to get there?
At least 45 minutes. But how did we save $20, Jeffrey?
We saved $20 because Uber cost $48 when we first went to book it, and it was only $24
because it was at a peak time.
because we wasted
we-
so much time.
When we went to book it. Because we wasted so much time by the time we got back around
To where you were.
to where we were. The rideshare demand had decreased, so the rates had decreased.
They cut in half.
Yep. So Jeffrey's thing was, "Well, I saved money, guys."
Saved just $20.
Oh, gee.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you,
got to have
Jeffrey.
nice conversation with other people.
Oh,
We
my
did.
They'll
gosh.
enjoy.
Silver lining.
Silver lining. All
So
right.
I got to hear about your favorite Jeep.
My favorite build, and since we've talked about the Optima lot at this point in time, and since you've kind of talked about it, it's interesting to see the people who have recognized. Now, I put up a teaser of it, and I'll put up a little bit more coverage at some point.
Darla said great exercise.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, a lot of exercise, a lot of walking. The Jeep that it was my favorite build of SEMA 2023 that I got to put my hands in and talk to the builder was not actually a registered display vehicle for SEMA. It was a functional, working, racing monster in Jeep clothing.
Yes.
Right? And
Not even four-wheel drive.
it is not even four-wheel drive. Yeah, look at you starting to
I know what you're
starting to
talking
put
about.
it put
He
the
knows
cart
which one
before
it
the
is.
horse a little bit. And so what's interesting was on day 4 of the show, so Friday of the show, I was walking through the Optima lot and I walked past the coolest slung out Cherokee Chief
Yep.
in just the most beautiful blue paint job
Yep.
with the
White
white
stripes.
the white top, the white stripes, stickered up, and a beautiful Hemi with just a nasty turbo hanging out of the hood.
Yep.
And I started walking past this thing, and I was like, at first, because there was a couple other, there was a drop K5, a couple C10s,
Yep.
some other, it's part of the street stock vintage class, I think.
Yep.
And I'm looking at this thing, and at first I was like, like it didn't hit me the same way that one of those overbuilt American Force trucks.
Yeah.
Fittipaldi was the big brand of the big wheels this year. It doesn't hit you in the face. All of a sudden, it came on like a wave, if you will, right?
Yeah, it's like a build like me or Greg would do. It's more you look at, the more you start to see and notice.
And I think that is exactly the way to contextualize it, and it's also part of the reason why I think I was so enamored by it. Additionally, I think the most fascinating piece was at the end of it, and so I'll kind of jump to the end. Davey gets done filming me. He kind of steps in and he was like, that guy could be Scott's brother. And I was like, dude, that is hysterical. Jennifer had been with me at that point. Jennifer's my wife, folks, who are listening, may not be aware, was listening just for a brief moment before she caught a ride share out of there. I was talking to her about it later, and she had grabbed something out of my pocket. She had listened to a little bit of the interview I had done with the guy, and she I was talking to her. She's like, that could have been Scott. And she was like, that guy might as well have been Scott. And Amy, I promise you, like, it could not be more of just authentically talking with you or to you. I got done talking, like, Davey said that. He was like, that could be Scott's brother. I was like, dude, I felt like I was just hanging out with Scott, you know?
Yep.
This guy was so appreciative that I was so enamored with his vehicle. He had no idea that I would think it was so cool.
Yep.
You know what I mean? For him, this is legitimately his daily driver. So what is
Yep.
it, folks? Do you want to contextualize? What do you think it is, Scott?
So I think it's 74, 75.
Yeah, it's 74 to 76. You're right.
So it's a Cherokee Chief on a C10 chassis, which
It
is
is.
actually my era chassis.
Mm-hmm.
But he stuck a Hemi in it. Has some sort of Corvette-ish suspension, if I remember right.
So the front suspension is like one of those like
maybe
kit
a
suspension
kit for my truck.
It's a kit suspension, but it's not even like it's a kit for your truck, but it's not even like your standard kits, right? It would be some obscure precision thing.
He's
like
gotten into all the minutia of the suspension geometry, so it's
set up
out the way he wants it to be. He runs it on Corvette wheels part of the year, and he's got some really sick wide wheels otherwise.
Yeah.
There's some ridiculous wide tires all the way around on it. He built, it was real controversial on the full-size groups because he took another Cherokee Chief, cut it in half, welded it back together, and made a trailer to go behind this because this thing has done a Mega Mara cruise and long-distance driving. He drives the wheels off this thing.
Yes. He is unaware how cool this vehicle is.
It's a tool.
It is a tool to him. It is talking to you. It is just most remarkable thing.
Yeah.
And
the best part, I kind of saw the picture of yours, so I was like, I think I know what that Jeep is. I saw a picture he posted on the full size group on Facebook. Parked. He did trailer it out there. Because I want to say he's from Illinois or Michigan.
He's originally from Michigan. He is currently living in Alabama.
Oh, okay.
But he drives the Jeep back and forth between Alabama and Michigan
all the time. He did trailer it out there though.
And he said it's one of the he can count on one hand how many times it's been on a trailer.
Right. It was very weird to actually see it on the trailer. But anyway, he parked beside in some like rest area beside the white J truck that you were making fun of.
Yes.
And he took a picture of that and posted it on Facebook. And I was like, how ironic how sorted one vehicle is and how you just pound the miles on it.
Yes.
In one way. And then over here we have
Trailer Queen.
The Trailer Queen art project.
The art piece. Yep. Yep. The art project.
Vintage Jeeps. They're both cool because
of what
they are.
In their own degree. And we are, as always, and I should have contextualized this at the start of the podcast, we are always appreciative that we have aftermarket manufacturers who support our industry.
Yep.
And B, that we have builders, whether they be artists or creators or functional builders, that keep our brand alive,
100%.
right? And I think that that's super important to keep in mind.
Yep.
So this young guy is built this Jeep. What I love about his story, you're going to want to watch a little bit of the interview. This is not his first Jeep. He's had actually several of them.
Yep.
He's got a great, like you and I, he's got this great memory of going to somebody else's house, a neighbor, and he had this J truck, wide-bodied J truck sitting in the barn, and he remembers the body lines and the look and the fit of it.
I want to say you got the previous one right before this got in an accident, like half destroyed it.
It did. It did. Yeah. You're absolutely right. And so this was actually on a 5.7 Hemi. Mm-hmm. He's usually running a 6.1 or a 6.4. Yep. I think it was a 6.1 with a twin blower, with a twin turbo or a blower. I'm not sure what he had said. It's in the interview. We'll review it. This one had a fat turbo on a 5.7. Yeah, because I'm trying to think, because we were talking about boost.
He's constantly evolving this Jeep,
and it's just nothing for him to throw an engine in and out of it.
Oh yeah.
And the seats themselves, which one of the things I was drawn to was this beautiful blue and white plaid, and
What are you doing? What are you doing, old
This is
man?
the blue and white. Yeah, Diesel's trying to get comfortable over there. Blue and white plaid because he was basically using some Econo buckets, and he'd driven it for like a year and a half on these Econo buckets, and it was beating him up. And they found this stitched pattern, and so they threw a little padding underneath it, and I was just blown away at the kind of the color palette that followed the Jeep. He has sprayed the blue. You're gonna love this piece of his story, right? And I'll leave you all with this, but you're going to have to watch the video on YouTube. So he's finishing up the build of this, and now he's had several full-size Jeeps in his life. His very first full-size build, I want to say he painted it black or a burgundy or something. He said he had gotten when he was in his teens.
Mm-hmm.
As he was putting this blue, that Jeep is long gone, right?
Yeah.
And as he was putting this Jeep together, he was obsessing about the color palette. He was thinking about doing it that classic Cherokee Chief orange.
Yep.
When it kind of push came to shove, he ended up deciding on this blue. He was looking through a catalog. He got enamored by this. He decided he was going to do this blue. So he sprays the whole Jeep this blue. As he's doing the final assembly of this Jeep, he needs some bolts to hang the drop tailgate, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he goes over to his hardware collection, and he starts kicking the counter, and he starts kicking the buckets, and he pours them out, and he starts sorting through where he thinks some bolts should be, and he finds the original authentic hardware from his first Jeep when he was a teenager.
That's awesome.
And what color are they?
Blue.
Blue. They are the exact color. And he's like, I couldn't have told you that. I couldn't have produced that because we basically got this Jeep and we built it out and we sprayed it right away.
Yep.
He's like, but look at this color. I mean, this guy was cut from our cloth,
100%.
right?
I also I should hide it for later, but I'll give us a little spoiler on the 36. I also like to hide things in my vehicles that mean something specifically to me.
Yep.
And I used to own a 66 J2000 J truck.
Yep.
And one of the few things I have left of that is a horn. And I designed the 36 around that horn.
That's cool.
And it will have a J truck horn. I literally just painted it and restored it. You'll be seeing pictures of that on my Insta coming up. But that is, is there I'll be at some Ford show and some Ford guy will be like, what in the heck is this Spartan horn doing on
What's
here?
this horn doing here,
Like,
guys?
Well, and speaking of the J truck, my two favorite builds, and I couldn't decide between which one, would be the black cherry J truck or the white limo Wrangler.
And we didn't even talk about the limo Wrangler. We had briefly touched on it. I'm glad you brought it up. So the black cherry J truck is spectacular.
Oh my! It was
right?
so clean and it
And-
was gorgeous.
And for those of you who were asking over the weekend, that was also Gregg was kind of tied for that as well. He
Yeah.
said Jeffrey and I kind of have the same favorite. It was the black cherry J truck, and then there was an FC inspired build in the real truck booth.
Greg got in trouble with his wife over.
You know what? I think we're gonna save that one because it was just a fun exchange. We're gonna give you a little piece of that next week as well.
Yeah.
Because it was just a super fun exchange with his wife, and we'll maybe talk about that FC just because it was super cool. But those were his two favorites.
Yep.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Greg is a closet FC guy.
He is. And we'll expand upon that. We'll give you something to look forward to next week. And the J truck was gorgeous. We saw that a lot covered on a number of social platforms.
Yeah.
And the limo we'll talk about next week as well, just to kind of give you a final wrap up of SEMA. Additionally, before we depart with you folks today, we have some important things that we did not mention earlier that we have to mention now. That twofold. One, very important. We have the Christmas parade coming up, which is a very big deal to our small town here, and they are incredibly welcoming of the Jeep community and all of the Jeeps.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to ensure that we do our best to have a good showing.
Is it Pro Candy this year?
Pro candy.
So
Yep.
bring some candy.
Bring some candy. Give to the local community.
Little secret: do not just throw it all out at the beginning because it is a long parade.
Yep.
Yeah, it
You
is.
gotta have a plan with your candy distribution?
Yes, candy distribution. We'll maybe talk about that a little bit next week, right?
Yep.
Because the parade is coming up in about 3 weeks. It is on Black Friday, and we'll have a brief open house here, kind of welcome you in to our facility before we go and line up to then get involved in the parade route. It is a nighttime parade, so this is a great opportunity to show off all of those really cool lights that you have.
Can you outdo Jeffrey?
Can you outdo Jeffrey or anybody else with the fun sparkly lights
My wife
and
already
Christmas
asked
lights?
me if I was going to try to take your title, and it's like, I can't take that from Jeffrey.
Oh, you could take it to.
Oh
I'm
goodness!
tired this year. This year was a long year.
It has been. But this is a great celebration to make people happy with our Jeeps, and it's a great nighttime parade, and use all the fun Christmas colors and the blinky underglows and all that kind of stuff. So we definitely want you to join in with us if you're local, and be part of that celebration, both of the season and these cool vehicles that we drive. Additionally,
So
what else we got?
So coming up, just to give everybody a heads up on the schedule, we're going to be doing only a couple more episodes. The 20th will be the last episode before we take a break for Thanksgiving. We're going to come back on the 4th of December for our 100th episode. So that's going to be a really special episode. In addition to that, we are going to kick off the 12 Days of Jeepmas.
Everybody,
Much
unfortunately,
yes, Neil is very sad, but
He's
everybody
gonna-
loves
He's not
it.
sad. He's looking forward to singing the new version for this year,
Yes.
which I still have to create. So we'll
Right.
work on that. So anyways, then there's only 3 weeks of that. There's the 3 weeks of 12 Days of Jeepmas, and then we're off for the holiday season for Christmas and New Year's, and we'll come back. I think it's going to be the 8th of January that we come back.
right. So realistically, you only have about 5 to 6 more episodes with us
For this year.
for this year on the live, and in the three of you in your ear holes. And we appreciate you listening, while driving truck or working on the factory floor or whatever it might be. So definitely, want to support you in that process and produce fun and unusual and good content. But not a lot of episodes left, but a big celebration of our 100th episode.
Yeah.
The first, the first segment of 12 Days of Jeepmas. There's literally just going to be 3 episodes in December that, it's going to kick off with our 100th celebration. And then you get, 3 episodes, and then we're off for the holiday season. So,
Yeah.
And we'll definitely attempt to bring the heat for you and finish this year strong.
Yep.
All right, without further ado, we've got cool Jeeps to build. We got people to get back to. We got obviously get healthy and get transitioned back here into our brick and mortar. We got a Christmas parade and the 100th episode and Jeepmas to all get planned for you. So without further ado, Jeep on.
Keep on.
Jeep on.